You said a key word, Coach. You said entertainment, and like you said, I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunately with the sport of boxing, right? That entertainment is part of it, right? Ryan Garcia and Manny Pacquiao, don't know if it's true or not, but somebody that's dedicated like yourself, right, as a coach and as a fighter for boxing for a very long time, right? Is it bad or is it good for boxing to people talk about this? Ryan Garcia, Manny Pacquiao.
You know, people are gonna talk good and bad.
Okay.
People are good and bad, and like I told you, people don't know. People don't know about boxing. But this is my opinion. I've been in the sport of boxing. I lived it myself. I was a fighter. From a fighter, I went to trainer. So I seen the ins and outs. I lived it. Believe me. I sweat. I bled. I cried. I mean everything. And there's people that never need that will never have that feeling, but they can give an opinion and a
Yeah.
stupid one.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, as a business, the way it goes like this: Manny Pacquiao is already on his way out. He deserves he deserves to he deserves for a farewell and retire with a good paycheck in his pocket. Right now, the next superstar of the sport is obviously Ryan Garcia, right? So what happens is this. I mean, for some reason, the business plays the way it is. Like Manny Pacquiao probably has problems. He's not 100% focused, but he wants to fight one more fight to retire. So what do they want to do is give such a name on somebody's resume. Who's that? Ryan Garcia, because Ryan Garcia is going to be the next superstar after Canelo. And Ryan Garcia having that name on his resume, it makes him more valuable, right? So I mean, it's not that Ryan Garcia can beat Manny Pacquiao, but there's something behind doors that people don't understand. That probably Pacquiao's having problems. Pacquiao is not 100% there, but it's the time for Ryan Garcia to beat Manny Pacquiao, because business wise, what does that bring to business of boxing if Pacquiao beats Ryan Garcia? I mean, there's not much more,
Mm-mm.
no more path to cover for Manny Pacquiao. He's basically a fight away from retirement. I mean, there's more business with Ryan Garcia in the long term than
Yeah.
Manny Pacquiao, and
Yeah.
that's the way. I hope you understand my opinion.
No, of course, of course.
You know,
Um,
I mean, the business of boxing knows something about Manny Pacquiao. That is the time to give his name. They give his name to a young superstar and put it on his resume, and that's the way it is. I
yeah.
mean, I mean, you could expect Manny Pacquiao knocking out Ryan Garcia easy in 3 4 rounds in his prime. I mean, at this age, he's been through wars. He's been ins and outs of the sport. But is that time where, you know what, I'm done. But now after I leave, I'm gonna give my name to somebody, put it on somebody's resume, and who's there to be
Mm,
Ryan Garcia, the next superstar of the sport of boxing after Canelo. That's the way it is.
correct. Even like I don't know if you agree with me with this, Coach, right? But I was saying that if Ryan gets this fight win, he like I feel like in this fight, there's no lose-lose situation for Ryan. To win when he loses, people are gonna say and he's gonna say that he was young and he's gonna bounce back and he's gonna learn from this. Ryan Garcia wins, it's like I feel like this would be the first time ever, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, that a fighter like Ryan Garcia's magnitude of popularity, but hasn't won a world title yet. But the fact that he beats a name like Manny Pacquiao, I believe he's in that level of Canelo or even better. And that's him not winning a world title yet, Coach.
Yeah, you can see it right away that Ryan Garcia is scaling up uh, to a superstar. Okay, and and that's how it goes right now. Business wise, I mean, you cannot guide Ryan Garcia to David Haney or Teofimo Lopez or Gervonta Davis. You got to guide him out, and who else is there to give him a name, is a prestigious name like Manny Pacquiao, for him to skyrocket, and that's it. Why? Because in the future, after Canelo is no longer in the sport, Ryan Garcia is gonna be the king of the sport.
Yeah.
And if you go back and say, okay, let me look at his resume. Manny Pacquiao's on his resume. Man, it makes him more valuable. That's the way it is. It's business, because there's a lot of fights right now at 135 that Ryan can take, but for business, it's not right. I
Mm.
mean, if you put him with a Teofimo Lopez, I mean, it's a coin toss right there. If he loses, the business of boxing decreases. It's like Canelo the same. If Canelo loses a fight, the sport of boxing would drop business wise.
Oh, okay, okay. Recently, a couple days ago, there was a lot of news in regards to Mark Breland and Deontay Wilder. I don't really want to comment, and like I don't want to really elaborate in the words of what he said or she said, right, or whatever. Both former coach of Deontay Wilder and whatnot, right? But why is it that most of the split between trainers and fighters seem to always go like in bad terms? In other words, like I just feel unfortunate, right? Because for example, right, a lot of casuals don't know this, coach, and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. Fighters are almost guaranteed a purse, right? Like contracts and whatnot. Unfortunately, for a coach or a salary for coaches, it's just like you said. It just depends on fight and who's your fighters, correct, coach? Like, why is it that coaches don't get that respect like they're supposed to, like the fighters? I just never understood that part of boxing, coach.
You know, it's the eras. I've seen it. I've seen it throughout the sport of boxing in eras. Um, the way it goes is like this. Nowadays there is a lot of call it a lot of snakes in the sport, you know, and loyalty is not the same now than it was back in the 90s, back in the those eras of Marvin Hagler, um, Thomas Hearns and all this. It's very different. Definitely, these eras have changed. Now, all the fighters in this era, they're more focused on shining outside the ring, more outside the ring than inside the ring. But there's always somebody always, blowing air in your ear, because and then the fighters they get carried away by, I think the grass is greener on that side, you know, and they change it. But sometimes fighters, and I'm gonna tell you because I've seen it. I've seen it. There's fighters, they get tired of their coaches because the coaches really don't understand that you gotta separate. You gotta separate the relationship. You gotta be a coach, yes, and you gotta be a friend. You have to be a mentor. You have to be a father. Okay. I know coaches, they have lost their fighters due to the fact that, I mean, they're at the, and they're talking boxing and they're doing boxing. They go home and they keep talking boxing everywhere they go. And like, come on, man, you gotta separate the area. The fighters deserve their private time. I mean, when it's coaching, teaching, let's leave it at the gym. When we leave the gym, it stays there. Now, I'm not the fighter. I am your friend. I am your brother, your son. And constantly, every day, they get tired of it. It's like, man, I'm
Mm.
tired of it. So, but there's different situations. It's not only that situation. There's situations where either somebody is promising you behind their backs better things, and they get carried away and they go. And but sometimes there's a lot of other fighters that have done it due to the fact that the fathers get in too much, family outside.
Okay,
Sometimes,
okay.
sometimes fighters, exactly like this guy says, boxers listen to other people sometimes more than their coaches. And they think that the grass is greener on the other side. And I mean, it's just nowadays fighters are weaker in the mind. In other words, they come and promise you something, and they forget about the time your coach has spent with you, the sacrifices that they have gone through. Because in reality, coaches, all the coaches. To me, I have a lot of coaches. I have a lot of respect for coaches all over the world, because as a coach, you sacrifice your life. I mean, you leave your family. Like, look at me. I'm gone for 3 weeks already. I have my family. I have my gym, and then I get home. If I get home this weekend, I'm gonna be in India for 1 week, and then I go to Abney's fight. Abney fights the 27th, and the 28th I fly to Puerto Rico because I have a fight in Puerto Rico on March 4th. So Look how long I'm gone without seeing my family. But people don't see that, you know. People think, oh, you know, this guy. But you know, I really ignore that type of people because they don't know what we go through. And when a fighter really is not loyal to you for a simple thing that they see that it's not right, when it's simple and it's fixable, I mean, I just lose respect to them for the rest of my life because they're not appreciative. You know, you put in so much time, physically doing mids, teaching them, everything. You know, a coach's time is valuable.
Of
I,
course.
I have a lot of respect for Ferry Roach, Robert Garcia, Benavides, every coach out there in the sport of boxing. I respect them fully because I know what they go through on a daily basis, and especially when you have a camp full of fighters.
Okay, okay. Before we let you go,